can you embark on a spiritual journey in this digital age that we're living in? It's simple. Simply shave your head bald, carry on a bunch of crystals, learn tarot cards, do yoga, and completely disassociate from human society. Okay, obviously I'm just kidding. I wanted to break this stigma right off the bat because a lot of people believe that being spiritual means that you're some super hippie person who doesn't play much of a role in society, or they believe that spirituality is some form of religion, and I'm here to say that that couldn't be further from the truth. On one hand, religion is a specific set of organized beliefs and practices usually shared by a certain group of people, whereas spirituality, on the other hand, is more of an individual practice and has more to do with finding a deeper sense of peace and purpose in life. It could include these practices, but it doesn't have to. This picture here depicts well how religion has a structure to it, and although there are some constraints to it, you're still able to swim freely in the sea of spirituality. In other words, you can be both religious and spiritual, but being religious doesn't automatically make you spiritual and vice versa. My personal definition of spirituality is becoming more aligned with your true and authentic self and embodying the person who you were always meant to be, not the person that society or your parents want you to be. So it means shedding the fake layers of yourself that you've been conditioned to have. So in this video, I want to share my story about how I started my journey of spirituality in the digital age in 5 ways that you can too. This is very valuable information, and you can help the YouTube algorithm to spread it to more people by simply liking and subscribing. So, as many of you know, I had my first spiritual awakening when I was living in Australia in 2019. Now, it's really hard to put into words how I felt and what I was experiencing, and so I drew this picture just to give you an idea of what that was like for me. Now, I remember feeling this infinite and divine energy running through my being, and I felt this harmonious balance between my heart and my brain, and overall just deeply connected with all of existence. Now, the main things that gave rise to this awakening was being outside all the time. I lived next to the ocean in a huge mountain range, and I would even leave my phone at my apartment and just go off and wander into nature, a lot of times by myself, and just completely get away from all the noises and human-made objects. Not only that, I was also very stress-free because I wasn't working at a job and I was only taking 3 classes at the university. And so when I moved back to America, as you can imagine, I found it very difficult to get back into that beautiful state that I was in. And a lot of that had to do with the pandemic, since I had to stare at a computer screen all day and there was literally no nature around me and I couldn't go anywhere. However, after months of searching and searching for new ways, I finally discovered several that worked, which I'm about to share with you now. Number 1, using technology rather than letting it use you. Despite the distractions of the internet, there are also a number of unique and powerful tools, including apps, podcasts, and YouTube videos, which can be utilized for the evolution of consciousness. And everyone will have a different preference, so try several until you find a practice that works for you. This is how you'll start to use technology rather than letting it use you. To prevent it from letting it use you, you must also become more conscious of what you do online, what content you consume, and how long you're on your phone. Especially be careful about the news that you consume. Remember that bad news sells, and a lot of the information is twisted and has an overall negative impact on your mental health. Something that I do is I just read the headlines so I have a sense of what's going on in the world. Another thing that I do when it comes to my phone is I put it on Do Not Disturb, so that way I'm not constantly pulled back into my phone when I'm being productive. And I also fill my social media feed with high vibrational content and unfollow pages that do not serve me at a higher level. And for people who post a lot about partying and drinking, all I do is mute them, which you can do on almost any of the social media platforms. Number 2, starting the day off with a good morning routine. I think I'll film a whole separate video where I really go into depth with this, but overall, a spiritually refreshing morning ritual will set the foundation for a day of positivity, productivity, and self-awareness. So in a nutshell, I get up at around 6:30 a.m., I then make my bed, then I'll journal, I then meditate, then I'll do a workout or do some yoga. I then follow that with a cold shower. After that, I'll make a green smoothie. Then I'll plan out my day and get my day grinding. So this sounds like a lot, but it takes around 2 or 3 hours, and the earlier you get up, the sooner you can start your day. Number 3, surround yourself with good people. I'm sure many of you heard the quote that you're an average of the 5 people you spend your most time with. So if you hang out with 5 alcoholics, you'll become the 6th one. If you hang out with 5 millionaires, you'll become the 6th one. And if you hang out with 5 spiritual people, you'll become the 6th one. So when you start to embark on this spiritual journey and raise your vibration, you'll start to notice how many people, including your friends, are superficial and engulfed in this fakeness. And this is a good sign for you because it means you're becoming more aware. But what often happens is many people will start to leave your life. They say that the higher your vibe, the smaller your tribe becomes. But this is okay because you'll begin to attract more of the things and the people who are aligned with your truer, authentic self. And what's cool is that meeting people in the digital age is a lot easier, so take advantage of that by attending events and forming real connections with people online. Now, how do you do this? One thing that I did is I attended a Tony Robbins Business Mastery Conference 3 weeks ago, where I connected with Tony and so many like-minded people from other countries. And what I do is I try to listen more than I talk so that I can learn as much as I can from these people and connect at an even deeper level. And just the whole act of connecting with a person who has a different background and perspective than you has been so spiritually fulfilling, and you can do something similar by attending an online conference or event. Number 4. Be comfortable with being alone. I've recently come to learn the difference between solitude and loneliness. For me, loneliness feels like an empty space, right? It's very unfulfilling and sad. In times of solitude, however, I don't feel lonely because there's a quality and a fullness of the solitude, and I don't actually feel alone. Last year, I lived in a single apartment where I grew very comfortable with being alone, and that's where I learned that true contentment comes from inside, not from the outside. And it is in that place that one can begin to let go of what no longer serves them and grasp onto that which is most important to them in life. Finally, number 5. March to the beat of your own drum. Simply start by asking yourself why you do the things that you do. Why do you go to work? Why are you doing these chores? Are you doing it because it's what others want you to do? Are you fulfilling someone else's dream? If so, you're not reaching your true spiritual potential. Maybe you have all this creativity bottled up within you that is yet to be unleashed because you're caught up living someone else's dream. But when you start to march to the beat of your own drum, you'll become tapped into your own intuition, and you'll only do what fulfills you and those who you wish to serve. And that is your ultimate place of personal power. If you made it this far in the video, then you must really enjoy my content, so please consider supporting me on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can support me and my mission. You can also help the YouTube algorithm to spread this message to more people by simply liking and subscribing. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. I appreciate every single one of you. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Much love and namaste.